What's up YouTube, Kyra back up in here with another video, and today we are going to be doing a little vintage video. I haven't done a vintage video in quite some time just because I have not been shopping too much vintage. I don't know, I kind of was getting into the routine of doing that often a good couple of years ago. Not that I've veered off from vintage, but I feel like I've had a lot of my key essentials when it comes to vintage garments. But sometimes there's always little gaps that you could fill in the blanks, and you get inspired when you go to other areas that are good for vintage. And that happened to me recently. I went to Toronto and they have fantastic vintage shopping there. If you guys have ever been to Kensington Market, I highly, if you have not been to Kensington Market, I highly recommend you guys checking that area out because it is loaded with so many different good vintage shops. You don't even need my recommendations, honestly. You could just like kind of venture through the market and like find different shops that cater to your vibe, and that's exactly what I did. I knew a few that I was interested in going to, like Exile and this, that, and the fourth, but then there was other ones on that street that I would just pop into and I would find nothing but gems, you know what I mean? So that's exactly what I did. I'll try and list the name of the shops that I found these things in, but I strongly recommend you guys to just stroll around, get lost, and find things of your own, because that is honestly when you get the best amount of gems. It's like when you just dedicate your time to like really digging through the garments and finding things that pique your interest. So that is exactly what happened with this piece right here. Hopefully they have a little tag situation on it. I believe they do. This was actually not in Kensington Market, but this was from Shop Coat. They had a shop that I wanted to pop by next to Soup, which was a really good publication shop that I told you guys about not too long ago. Let me try and get a hanger for this because it is super heavy. This leather jacket actually has like a lining, so I'm not too sure if I'm gonna keep it in or take it out, but I mean, with the winter here, I might just keep it in for now, and then when the spring comes around, I might mess around and take it out because it'll probably add to the shape, if anything. The quality of this leather is insane. I love shopping vintage for that sole factor, because realistically, if I shopped this in designer, you're paying somewhere close to like $3,000 to $5,000, which is like outrageous, and you're getting quality that's parallel, because the way they used to make things back in the day is just, you can't even compare. It's all made in US. You have like a really high haired suede that's like super soft to the touch, and this crazy tan tumbled leather that's just like super buttery. The texture is immaculate, and like I said before, just really beautiful cuts, good gussets right here. And as I said before, it's lined, so all of this is just added insulation, and you could take this out. This is the brand in case you guys want to look up something similar, but like I said, vintage things are, you could kind of just pick them as you go. This was 135 Canadian dollars, which is not too bad. That's probably around 100 bucks USD, which I would pay for this any day of the week. Like 100 bucks for a really good quality leather jacket, like sign me up. This, not a steal, but like definitely worth the price, 100%. Fit is incredible too. Love how it's kind of cropped in the body, cinches up perfectly at your waist, and the pockets are nice. Like everything's a hit with this one. Nice little hazelnut brown colorway. Can't go wrong. I was scared it was gonna wash on my skin a bit, but this is definitely a W of a piece. Super heavy, so I'm gonna put this down. But reason number one why we should shop vintage: quality leather goods for fraction of the price. So this I actually got, I forget at which shop I got. I think this is Coffee and Clothing. I can't remember the name of this shop, but I believe that's what it is. This is just an Oakley vintage windbreaker of sorts. Kind of has like a quarter zip, doesn't go all the way down, but I loved this little Oakley detailing on the neck. It's just very discreet. The only thing that I'm gonna adjust to this probably is hit this with a seam ripper, because I'm not the biggest fan of like the Surf's Up type logo. I find it makes it a bit too like 80s retro, but if you remove that, it makes it a lot more chic in my personal opinion. So yeah, I really love this one. It kind of gives you like having a distinct piece without having to break the bank is an amazing feeling. And then also when it's unique to you, you're probably not gonna walk into another person wearing something like this. This was 60 bucks. Realistically, I'd be happy paying 40, but it was something that was really catching my eye, and it was like the first couple things that I was looking at and buying from Toronto, and I didn't get anything at this point, so I was like, let me get something, you know. So I scooped this. I don't regret it at all, but I'm interested to see how I will style it in the spring, because right now it's probably a little bit too cold to wear something like this. But yeah, really beautiful piece. I love how the puff print is kind of like raised, right? So good details all around with this piece, but yeah, guaranteed a good one. Okay, now this is the meat and the potatoes amongst the vintage pickups, because the best way to break yourself into getting into quality boots and that type of elevated footwear, I would say, is try out vintage first. You know, like if you're able to try it on actually, that's how you're gonna know that it's actually gonna be able to fit you, which is a beauty in itself. And then 2, you're gonna get for a cheaper price point, which is another huge W. And 3, you're gonna get silhouettes most of the time that are found in designer boots and footwear, this, that, and the third, without having to break the bank, you know? So this is something that I wanted to try for quite some time, kind of like the engineer boot or rider boot with the buckles, the harness. I've had things similar to this for quite some time. Like I had these two. This one is by Botero. Similar type of vibe. It's just like all natural leather, and then the more you wear it, the more character that it builds. And then we also have this harness boot from Balenciaga. This is the first Balenciaga piece. Actually, no, cap. This is like the first Demna Balenciaga piece that I ever got. But yeah, both similar idea, but not exactly all the way there, because they have like the heel component that's like more pronounced, or like, and then this, it's kind of just like hard to describe, but more like a chunky, more aggressive nature, rather than like the daintiness that both of the other boots that I just showed you provide. This is a lot more aggressive, like more for biking, as this shoe is intended. This is a Harley Davidson leather boot, you know what I mean? And this is actually a size bigger than my actual size, but for some reason they actually fit. And even if they are a bit roomy, you could probably do a thick sock or double sock it up, and it's not going to be an issue. Especially in the winter, you're probably going to want something like that, or chuck an insole. But they honestly genuinely fit. They're not that big at all. Like a little metal component on the tip right there, square box. They look really good with pants tucked in or laying over them. I love how they have the inside zipper as well. Makes it easy to chuck them on and off. And the leather quality is quite good as well. So good shape, good leather. They're super heavy though, so you might be able to do some damage with these if you needed to. Fantastic boots. I'm a big fan, and I'm looking forward to styling these as well, because I've seen them styled quite nicely on like outfits on Pinterest, etc. But I don't think I'm gonna really take it that route. I'm gonna see how explorative I could get with a silhouette like this, and see if I want to invest further into a true vintage pair of these. This is kind of my intro piece to that, because I think this was like $100, nothing too crazy, but beautiful piece of footwear right here. Definitely worth checking out. A rider boot or engineer boot, whatever you want to call it. Now the last piece, this has been an ongoing chasing of the dragon story. I've been looking for the perfect pair of cowboy boots that are reasonably priced. I've seen cowboy boots that I really like go for a stupid amount of money. I never get lucky with my cowboy boots. If I do find them for a decent price, they just don't fit me. And that's exactly what happened with these two. Like, I thought they fit me. I wore them around in the store. I tried it out. I was like, oh yeah, these are great. Spent a couple days in these. They're still killing me. My previous pair I sold because they were far too tiny. These are tiny, but not as tiny as the last ones, at least. But yeah, we could still get away with murder with these, but they're still sexy, bro. Really nice boot. Love a good slight Cuban heel. That's kind of like what I look for with a good cowboy boot. Pointed toe for the most part. Like, definitely has to have a good point. And neutral tones. Like, we're gonna go brown, we're gonna go gray. Those type of things is what I'm looking at for a good cowboy boot. Also, obviously the leather has to be quite substantial as well. But yeah, Cuban heel, pointed toe, a little bit of turn-upage, I don't mind that. And then also good quality leather, sign me up. So I'm kind of looking for that right now. Hopefully I'm able to find the perfect fitting pair down the line. But at this very moment, it's not looking too hot for the boy, unfortunately. But we will get there one day. This boot was 90 bucks. So that just goes to show you could find amazing things for a good price. This is 90 Canadian, by the way. So definitely a good one. Not too pricey, but you probably find them cheaper, probably find them more expensive, completely up to you. But yeah, I was satisfied with my purchase, and I love styling those with like really baggy pants and having a pointed toe. I find it really cool to balance those two avenues out. But yeah, that is all of my vintage pickups. There's only 4, but 4 golden ones at that. I just wanted to make sure that you guys see what can be done when it comes to vintage. Those are just 4 new additions to my vintage rotation. There's so many things that I just utilize on a daily basis that are vintage, and it goes so well with like designer. It just makes you look like you actually have some type of intent with dressing and styling, because if you just do head to toe designer, sometimes it just looks like you're brain dead. And I like doing high-low, for example. Like I would do this Ashland tee and then like juxtapose it with like some Balenciaga pants, you know what I mean? Like just high-low looks beautiful. This is one of my favorite vintage tees ever. I've owned this for years and I don't plan on getting rid of it ever. And that's the beauty of having vintage items like this. We also have another piece that I've been wearing a ton. This is this cropped Alpha Industries bomber from the 1960s, I believe. Got this at Palmo. Also pretty petty for this, but it was sick to me because the quality was super substantial. It's almost like silk-like in the lining of this jacket. It's like absolutely stunning. And I was literally about to buy a Balenciaga jacket that was exactly like this for like thousands of dollars, and I got that same exact thing but for far cheaper and the original reference for it at that, you know. So I'm stoked with this. Hopefully down the line I'd be able to find like a Blackwood of sorts. I don't think it'll be likely, but I'm super stoked with this one nonetheless. And like you can't really go wrong with anything like that, bro. Crazy. Super stoked. Love this piece. And I ain't gonna stop loving it anytime soon. So yeah, there you go. We have my vintage pickups and why I believe you should invest in vintage clothing. High-low is the way to go, 1000%. I'll leave some of my favorite vintage shops in Montreal down in the description box below so that you guys can check them out for yourselves. And then also, if you're looking for anything online, just get adventurous. You could go on Etsy, you could go on Depop, you could go on Grailed. You could find so much vintage out there at your own disposal. If not, go into your local thrift stores, go into your local curated vintage shops and just dig around, get lost. You'll definitely find something that is to your liking, and it's perfect for just getting experimental with your style and trying things out without having to overly invest and commit to anything that you're not 100% ready for yet. You know, so that's where vintage kind of thrives. I always want to bring vintage back into the conversation when it makes sense. So here we are talking about it. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, I really appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. As always, make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Follow the boy on Instagram, GOTSWEIGE, is where you can keep up to date with me more frequently. I post fit pics, this and that. So that's what you can check out on there. Also to follow the boy on TikTok, SWEIGE, Swage. And that's about it. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Sorry for the short video, but sweet, straight to the point. Peace.